Congresswoman Gwen Moore of Wisconsin joins us now. Congresswoman, what was your reaction on hearing the ruling today?
Well, good morning, Zerlina. Obviously, I was not surprised because of the leaked decision some weeks ago. But I think my son said it best. He said, Mom, I just felt like I was in a time machine going backwards. I've lived long enough to know what a horrific decision is, not only for women's reproductive freedom, but for other so-called unenumerated rights. The right to marry who you want to marry. We may, in fact, be celebrating the last Gay Pride Month. The right, they say that they saw Brown versus the Board of Education as stare decisis, but there's no enumerated right in the Constitution to an education. This is a free-for-all, I think, and any right-wing conservative cause that they want to eviscerate, the door is now wide open. It's hard, they're going to go after birth control. And I think that women's ability to expand their economic opportunities, their educational opportunities, their freedom is over. And, you had Cori Bush on earlier talking about being raped. I come from a state, Wisconsin, where we have been in the top 10 of states for decades of women who've become pregnant because of statutory rape. They've been young. And so, people will be forced to continue pregnancies when they're raped, incest, or even when their health is at risk. Just yesterday, the Wisconsin State Legislature gavelled in and gavelled out in 15 seconds an effort that the Democratic governor called to overturn an 1849 law that made abortion murder in our state. And so we're one of those states where a doctor could be charged with murder. And in fact, all 24 of our Planned Parenthoods are providing their last abortion care tomorrow.
It's really important to hone in on what you said about being a survivor of sexual assault and what this means for people who survive rapes, because if you really think about it, being a survivor of rape means your bodily autonomy has been stolen, and now it is going to be stolen again because the state is going to require you and force you to give birth to your rapist child. So I just wanted to hone in on that point before asking you about the 3 liberal justices who, in their dissent, said this, quote, "One result of today's decision is certain, the curtailment of women's rights and of their status as free and equal citizens." So speak to this point, that essentially what this ruling does by taking away a constitutional right is about a lot more than abortion. At the end of the day, it's about the ability of women and people who can get pregnant to make the decision for themselves.
It really, because they're going after contraception as well. I grew up in an era where a typical family had 18, 12. I'm from a family of 9. And women did not have educational opportunities, economic opportunities, because they were constantly pregnant. It was and other things are at risk too, Zerlina. The laws about adultery. Adultery, of course, is awful, but no one wants to think about someone going to jail for fornicating or committing adultery. All these things are on the table now. Your right to any kind of sexual privacy, whether it's a same-sex partner or whether it's to cheat on your wife. All of these things, the court has gone to bed with you at this point.
It's a really scary thought. It gave me goosebumps there a little bit. Congresswoman Gwen Moore, thank you so much for starting us off. Thank you for being here. Please stay safe. Joining us now are Liz Plank, a columnist for MSNBC and co-host of Recount Live, and Oren Jacobson, co-founder and executive director of Men for Choice. And Liz, I want to start by playing some of what the new conservative justices actually said under oath at their confirmation hearings. Take a look.
Senator, again, I would tell you that Roe versus Wade, decided in 1973, is a precedent in the United States Supreme Court. It has been reaffirmed, so a good judge will consider it as precedent of the United States Supreme Court, worthy as treatment of precedent like any other.
This is a precedent that's been reaffirmed many times over 45 years, including in Planned Parenthood versus Casey, where they specifically considered whether to overrule and reaffirmed and applied all the stare decisis factors. So that, importantly, became precedent on precedent in this context.
As Richard Fallon from Harvard said, Roe is not a super precedent because calls for its overruling have never ceased, but that doesn't mean that Roe should be overruled. It just means that it doesn't fall on the small handful of cases like Marbury versus Madison and Brown versus the board that no one questions anymore.
I mean, what's your reaction to the fact that it appears that they didn't tell the truth there based on this decision today? That is contradictory to what they said under oath at their confirmation list.
Yeah. 3 Supreme Court justices lied under oath. That means this is a devastating day for America. It's a devastating day for democracy. It's a devastating day for people who love and care about women and care about survivors, people who care about privacy, people who care about contraceptives, people who have sex. I know many men enjoy sex with women. It's also a bad day for them as well. And it's a sad day for the right, I would say, as well, because what we're seeing right now play out is not what the majority of Democrats want. It's also not what the majority of Republicans want. That's why Fox News is kind of burying this story today. If you do tune into Fox News instead of MSNBC right now, what you'll see is them sort of talking about a celebration that this is good, but also this isn't going to change much. So the right knows that this is bad. There's no red state where overturning Roe had a majority. So they're setting themselves up for an uphill battle when it comes to the midterms. And it's important for us to keep talking about that this is not what the majority of Americans want.
I mean, Oren, we've talked before about the fact that this was anticipated because of the draft leaked opinion, but speak to the fact that, I mean, look at these images of the Supreme Court. It is surrounded by fencing right now, and even when it's not surrounded by fencing, the steps are like 700 feet high. You have to go up like 7 stories of steps just to get inside the building. I mean, it's essentially an enigma on purpose. It was built that way to seem sort of above the rest of us. Speak to this idea that this Supreme Court is not in line, to Liz's point, with the majority of the American people, and that they are out of step with where the American public is.
Yeah, America is and always has been an overwhelmingly pro-choice country. In fact, if you look at the public opinion on polling going all the way back to Roe, it has remained effectively fixed. And roughly only 2 in 10 Americans support the idea that the Supreme Court should reverse Roe v. Wade. So what we had happen today is the final step, or I actually shouldn't say the final step, it has been an important step in a decades-long fight with a singular goal. The goal was to overturn Roe v. Wade, specifically to control women and maintain the power that anti-abortion radical men in this country have over everybody who can get pregnant. This is not what the American people want. It is not what the American people believe. In fact, Zerlina, the radical anti-abortion movement has badly lost the public battle on abortion. But they have used voter suppression and gerrymandering and the stealing of Supreme Court seats to win the political and legal fight for the moment. And I want to emphasize, for the moment.
It's such an important point about the fact that they are so out of step and explained well there by Oren. But Liz, I mean, how do Democrats utilize this moment to energize their base in the midterm elections? We're going to talk momentarily to one of our friends, Lamita Mukhopadhyay, about what's happened since even the Women's March up until this point. But how do Democrats utilize this moment to energize turnout in the upcoming midterms?
I think that's going to be major key, right? So the Women's March had a big showing, and what we saw in the last few weeks after the leak was marches and people getting together to protest, but the marches were much smaller, right? We were talking about a few thousand people in each city, as opposed to, really the sort of global movement we saw with the Women's March. So there's going to have to be re-energization when it comes to the movement. And part of that is actually being really pragmatic in the way that we talk about this. Yes, this is a devastating day. Yes, this is awful. But actually, abortion is still available in all 50 states. Most abortions that happen in this country happen with abortion pills. So there are really tremendous women's rights organizations that have been organizing for a while now, Mayday Health being one of them, that are telling women in all 50 states, and particularly the red states where there's going to be trigger laws and the right to abortion is going to be illegal, get a mail forwarding service, get an address in a state where abortion rights are protected, get the abortion pill sent there, and it will be sent to you. There are, women's rights organizations who are really sort of being as creative as the right and that are really going on the offense about this. And I think that we have to talk about that reality too, that there is an optimistic view here that this is going to re-energize the reproductive rights movement and allow more women to have access, not less.
Liz Plank and Oren Jacobson, it was great to have you on this really historic day, but it's hard for so many activists out there who care about this right. Please stay safe. Have a great weekend. Hi, I'm Zerlina Maxwell. Thanks for checking out our channel on YouTube. You can see more from Zerlina by clicking any of the videos on this screen, and make sure you subscribe below to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. Thanks for watching.